Welcome to the Bear Talk, your go-to Chicago Bears podcast where a father and son break down all things Bears. From Soldier Field to Sunday Showdowns, I'm your host here, Dylan Weaver, and as always, joined here by my dad. How you doing, Dad? It's game week.
I'm doing great, Dill. How you doing? It's the new season. It's 0-0, and it's win or go home in lovely Soldier Field against the Packers, aka the Cheeseheads, or the Bears, the Cheese Graters. So we'll see how it goes, but it should be a good Saturday night wild card showdown as the Bears take on the Packers. And if you're looking about or want to know someone who's going, I know a guy.
Yeah, I am going to the game. I'm super stoked about it. I'm excited. I mean, I couldn't miss out on this opportunity. Bears, Packers in the playoffs. First off, too, if the Bears and Packers were playing the playoffs, you would think the Bears were going to go into Lambeau to go play them. No, they're coming to the Bears Stadium as they are your 2025 NFC North Division champions. And I mean, it is going to be – I cannot wait. I might shed some tears before kickoff. I mean, this is insanity. I'm super excited. You know, I'm just hoping for a good game. It'd be great if the Bears blow them out and we're just jumping for joy in that stadium. But man, oh man, it's going to be fun. It'll be a cold one though, for sure too. Just got back from the store not too long ago. Now that I'm out here in Tennessee, we don't get weather like that anymore down here. So had to go prep up for some real cold weather gear. But tried everything on not too long ago, thought I was going to have a heat stroke. So I think I'll be all right with all the stuff I got, but it'll be an exciting one. I really want to wear my Caleb Williams jersey, but every time I wear it, it does not go well. So I guess we're going to rock the brand new Rome jersey this week. Super excited to have him back. I mean, now you got to guard Luther and Rome. So good luck. Pick your poison. Everyone, you know, on the Packers side this week, they're like, well, Jordan Love, you haven't beat Jordan Love in a full game where he finishes the game. We got Evan Williams coming back, blah, blah, blah. But guess what? The Bears got Rome Odunze coming back. Let's just start the show off with that. I mean, Rome's missed 5 games in a row now. It seems like really for the past couple of weeks, he's fine. They just have been playing the cautious side and waiting till the playoffs start because the Bears already locked in a playoff spot a couple weeks ago, so there really was no rush to get him out there. I mean, the past couple of games, we've seen the camera pan to him a couple times on the sideline. He's jumping up and down. He's doing a bunch of stuff. So I think Rome's ready to go, and he's going to be eager to get out there.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right on that. And you think about, this offense and all the weapons we have. And we've had a couple weeks where we've missed a few of those weapons, but it looks like we're going to be full strength. And what a time for that to happen in Soldier Field. We're having snow. It's going to be a snow game.
No. It won't. It's not. It looks like it's going to hold off.
Oh,
supposed to snow. It's supposed to snow during the day, and it says it's supposed to stop by 6 p.m. and kickoff is until 8. It'll be our 7 Illinois time, but
you wait and see. In Chicago, you wait 5 minutes and the weather changes, and it's right off the lake. I don't know. I think it's going to be special. There's something really special when you go to a game and there's snow coming down and the excitement in the air.
I agree. I hope there's flurries.
I think it'll be good.
I 100% agree. If there is some flurries, it'll just make it that much more memorable, and it'll make the atmosphere that much more crazy, even though I'm sure that place is going to be jumping. I mean,
it's going to be rocking.
You got former Bears like Brian Urlacher, Lance Briggs, Jerry Azuma. You got them all tweeting out, guys, remember, when the Bears are on offense, it's quiet time. Like, the stadium just gets so loud that they forget the Bears are playing offense and we need to be quiet. But it's hard to contain that excitement. It's been a great year. And like we said, I mean, it's been a long time coming for this. The Bears organization finally looks like they're starting to turn the page on some, old, whatever you want to call it, keep the definition of insanity, keep doing the same things and expecting different results. Finally, they try something different. They align up the GM, they align up the head coach, they align up the quarterback. Like, all their contracts are under aligned together, and it looks like they're finally turning.
We lined up the Pope too.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a special year. It's crazy, but I'm just super excited for this matchup. Both games literally came down to the last play. Hopefully, this one doesn't. And if it does, hopefully it is in the Bears' favor. Past
Yeah.
couple weeks, past couple weeks, the Bears have started to come on the other side of that coin. So hopefully, if it does come down to a last second drive, the Bears are on the right side of that. But nonetheless, I mean, this is what if you would have asked Bears fans before the season started, the Bears finished the season 11-6, start off 0-2, end the season on a 2-game losing streak, and you tell them they were 11-6 with the 2 seed hosting the Green Bay Packers in round 1 of the playoffs, everybody would have signed up for this back in August. So it's
Oh,
it's
I did.
exciting that it's finally here.
I may have been the only person signed up for this back in August. But on top of that, I love the confidence of the coach. I heard an interview a little bit earlier today. I believe they were talking to Colston and basically saying, hope you have no plans for the next 5 weeks because we're playing football. And if you think about the trend the Bears have done, right? They would win 4 games, lose a game, win 4 games, lose a game. We just lost two. So now it's on to go win 5 games. So or not, it won't be 5 games, but 3 games, I believe is the number we're
3
looking at.
games to get to the Super Bowl, 4 games to win it
Yeah.
all.
So you lose two, win four now, and the Bears are Super Bowl champions. You see a lot of brackets out there, basically looking at the matchup. And we talked about this a few weeks ago as we were kind of hinting to it. If the Bears do make the Super Bowl, I only hope that the Patriots climb their bracket on the other side and we have a Patriots Bears Super Bowl 40 years later where the Bears become victorious again. Now, granted, this Super Bowl won't be in New Orleans like the '85 one, but it'll be out in San Francisco and Levi Stadium. But nonetheless, it still would be the Patriots versus the Bears 40 years later. That would be a remarkable ending to this season, and not only an ending to this season, but the beginning of the Ben Johnson era and Caleb Williams era, along with all the rookies that we drafted this year. This may be the time, like that '85 team. Realistically, we should have went on a run to have a dynasty, and unfortunately, only pulled off one Super Bowl under Ditka and McMahon and all those great players that are on that team. But this team on the offense is built for a dynasty run as long as we do the right thing in the defense for the draft this year and also in the postseason with some different acquisitions. We could go on a dynasty run here with the Bears, and it would. I hate to make this comparison, but I'm going to do it anyways because I think we have. I think we have to. Um, the city of Chicago's needed an iconic player to kind of energize and lead the face of sport franchises in the city of Chicago. And I would say for me, that hasn't happened since the Michael Jordan era. This could be the Caleb Williams era in Chicago as the face of the Chicago Bears, along with all those other great defensive and offensive players that we do have, and it can be a dynasty. And I can't even believe I'm using the word dynasty in Chicago Bears in 2025 after everything I've witnessed over the years. But I think we got something special.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even halfway through the season when we were evaluating Caleb, just halfway through, we're like, I don't know if we would really seal up another contract necessarily halfway through the season. Like, really, we talked about it a couple times. Like, not saying that it wasn't, we wanted it to be guaranteed. And I think now that we're at the end of the season, I mean, I think it's pretty guaranteed this guy's going to get another contract. Um, this guy's clutch. He doesn't fold under pressure. Yeah, sometimes like the first round of the matchup, he doesn't win the game, but the majority of times this guy gives you a chance to win a game and you feel confident when the ball is in his hands come end of the game. So it really
That's true.
the spark this guy provides and I just love his confidence. A lot of people get mad and think it's cockiness. I played college sports. I would consider myself when I played, I was pretty confident. Did a lot of talking, did a lot of yapping, but as long as you back it up, I mean, you can say whatever you want. And I mean, this guy has some of the most delusional confidence, but it's like it's not delusional though, because he goes out there and does it. Like, he doesn't do this to hype himself up. He does it because he knows what he can do and he believes in his abilities. And you've heard it plenty of times this week and this past month of him really just saying, he knows what work he put in to get here. It all leads up to this. He's been in big games ever since he was a young high school kid, playing at a very high prep high school out in Maryland. Obviously, that goes into Oklahoma. They're losing a game by 30 points, and everyone's wanting the true freshman Caleb Williams to come in for Spencer Rattler. You know what happens there. He comes in, leads them back down a 30-point deficit to win his game in his first ever college start. Then from there goes to USC, continues to ball out, kind of has a team similar to this Bears team. They had a really good offense, and their defense just couldn't stop a nosebleed. And, now he's here in the city of Chicago. Year one, you can say, was rough, but when you look at all the things that happened between coaches getting fired, 3 different OCs in a rookie year, no sustainability, and then to see him do it this year. And I mean, Ben Johnson, Al Harris talked about it a little bit this week, but they just talk about from the day Ben Johnson walked in to now, it's night and day difference. And that's what gets you excited as a Bears fan. The media too. The more impressive part about Caleb Williams is the media has continuously talked down on him coming into the year, writing books about him, writing articles, trying to write his story and not letting him do the writing. And he's shut everyone up. You now have the national media. I mean, you got people in the beginning there that didn't even trust the Bears, and now they're picking them to win this playoff game. And it's like I've said, it's too late now to jump on the bandwagon. It's closed. The bus is full, and we're full steam ahead. And it's crazy. That's why it gets me so excited. And I think you hit on the head. I mean, between Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, Luther Burden, Colston Loveland, Cal Monungai, I mean, this offense is young, and Dynasty's a little bit of a stretch right now, but they definitely got the young weapons to, sustain longevity, where this isn't going to just be a couple years. This is going to be, 5-6 years, with a lot of these players on this offense are super young. Like you said, Colston Loveland, he is still 21. Caleb Williams, 22 years old. Rome Odunze, 22 years old. Cal Monungai, he might be a little bit older. He played a little bit longer in college, but still, this team is super young. I mean, outside of Joe Tooney, who's getting old, but I mean, he looks great, and we have him on a 3-year contract. I'm sure he might retire as a Bear. And you know the story with Joe Tooney. He's played with Tom Brady, won 2 Super Bowls. Played with Patrick Mahomes, won 2 Super Bowls. If he wins 2 here with, Caleb Williams, I mean, Joe Tooney's been amazing. I mean, it's just, there's so many different stories you can talk about this Bears team. And in the past, it's all been negative stories. There's never been anything positive to talk about this team. It's always been, why do we still have this player? What is this going wrong with this? Why is this coach still here?
Who we drafted number 1 overall
sucks. Like, yeah, who are we taking number 1? Are we trading back? Are we taking the haul? Like, I mean, it's always been negative, and this year it's just been so cool to have so many positive stories to talk about. And it's just been a breath of fresh air, and hopefully it's for years to come. But let's hop into this matchup.
I got to say one thing before we
okay.
hop into the matchup, because you know me, and me and you've gotten plenty of fights about this, especially in the beginning of the season. I've been through a lot of quarterbacks in my lifetime of being a Bears fan, and I'm always very skeptical of our quarterbacks. And, the moment they mess up or do something, I'm like, see, they're not the number 1. They're bringing Tyson Bagent. Oh, sorry. But I'm going to say for myself, and I'll say probably for every Bears fan out there, and even people outside of the Bears, ecosystem, when there's 2 minutes left in the game now and Caleb Williams has the ball, I believe there's a chance now. And granted, the first time we played the Packers, we had the ball. There looked like a chance. Unfortunately, the interception happened. And even last week's game, we had time, but unfortunately, it didn't go our way. But we have a quarterback now. The Bears, the Chicago Bears, have a quarterback. We're not thinking about who we're trading for. We're not thinking about who we're drafting. We're not thinking, woe is me. We're, 72 pieces away from figuring out to have a team. So kudos to Caleb Williams. This is it's been a long time coming for the city of Chicago to have a quarterback like that. So on to the matchup.
Yeah. Well, and on that note too, I'll chime in one last thing too. It just, I mean, you talked about it. Michael Jordan had his era, and I wasn't alive for that, but just watching, The Last Dance and seeing, I don't even want to know what the city felt like for a player like that. I mean, you're talking about
Crazy.
the greatest basketball player of all time, and if Caleb comes anything close to that, I mean, because at the end of the day, Chicago is a football city. They would do anything to see the Bears. That's what they care about. They care about the Bears. Yeah, you have your Cubs fans, you have your Bulls fans, you have your Blackhawks fans, but if this Bears team ever hits into dynasty era where they're winning, back to back or multiple Super Bowls within a short amount of time frame, this city's going to go nuts. And in the Hard Knocks thing last year, they open it up with Caleb Williams could be the next Michael Jordan. And when it first came out, we're all like, all right, calm down. You're about to put way too much pressure on a rookie quarterback, but this guy loves the pressure and he shines under it. Like I already said, the people that talk down on him, it's so easy for him to let that get to him and get in his head and not play to the player he could play. But I honestly think it makes him rise to the occasion even more. It's honestly impressive. It's to have that much confidence in yourself and listen to the noise, because you've heard it. He's responded to certain people that have said negative things. He hears it and he attacks it head on. He doesn't let it get in his head. And that is probably one of the most impressive things about him is, from the nails to, what he did in college isn't going to work in the NFL. He's a diva, XYZ, you go on. The excuses keep coming. It was the same thing when we were first place in the division halfway through the season. Just wait a couple more weeks, Bears fans. You're only going to win one of your last 7 games. And, then you win the division. And now it's, you're going to be a first-round playoff exit. And then we're going to win this weekend. And it's going to be, okay, well, now you're going to lose in the next round. It doesn't matter. It's never ending. I mean, we're used to it. I mean, we've always been delusional, but this year we don't look so delusional. But let's hop into it. As we always do, we start off the injury reports. Honestly, both teams are pretty healthy in this matchup, which is good. You love to see everyone healthy, no excuses when, one team wins. For the Bears, probably the big injury, I'll go over it. CJ Gardner-Johnson, obviously out, went down on that concussion on the Lions game-winning drive, made a big tackle in the backfield on David Montgomery on a run play, but ultimately you knew he was concussed instantly. When they picked him up off the field, the guy couldn't even walk straight. So prayers out to him. Hopefully he's all right, because we're probably going to need him if we're going to go on past this round. But other than that, obviously Kyler Gordon was a limited participant this week, Tuesday and Wednesday, and he was a full participant today on Friday. And he is a game time decision, but he's going to play. I promise you he will be out there. At this point, it doesn't matter how healthy or not you are. If you can walk, you can play, you're going to be playing.
Yeah.
Braxton Jones as well. He got elevated from IR this week. Not really anything too important, but I mean, I guess if someone does go down, he's a good swing tackle to maybe have in there, because Theo Benedict, in reality, he did not have a good game last week. We didn't really talk about it much on our post-game show, but out of that offensive line, if you watch back a lot of those plays, a lot of that pressure instantly was coming from his left-hand side. So Ozzie Trapillo, though, he's back. Everyone else is back. And then we touched on it to start the show off. Rome Odunze, he is good to go for this game. It is going to be exciting. I hope he's not on a snap count. I'm sure he won't play 100% of the snaps, but let's get him and Luther out there because, dude, I'm telling you right now, Luther is been shining, and then Rome's going to come back. They're going to forget about Rome. They're going to adjust later on. Then Luther's going to be open. It's kind of a good tag team. And if you don't remember, Rome and Luther only played one game together where Luther finally got put into that full-time role. So there's not much tape of them both playing together. So
you know what it's going to be like?
What? It's going to be
It's
like a little Brandon Marshall, Elshon
no,
Jeffrey vibes.
no. It's even better than that because we have so many weapons now. It's going to be like a Nancy Drew book. Choose your own freaking adventure with as many offensive weapons that Caleb Williams can throw to. It's going to be insane.
Yeah. And I've talked about it many times on the post game. Like, obviously Luther started ascending, so I didn't think missing Rome would be that much. It wouldn't hurt that much,
It
but
hurt.
it did hurt. And on top of that, now you have Rome and Luther out there. And like you said, you start worrying about Rome and Luther, you forget about Colston Loveland, you forget about
Daddy
DeAndre
Walker.
Swift in the flat. And then, the guy who's coming off a pretty poor, pathetic effort next week, even DJ Moore, you'll forget about him. And here he comes running across the field. So I just think, it'll be really cool to see, honestly, both. Like, there's so many different options you can do with this offense. I'm sure Ben Johnson feels like a little kid at a toy store. Like you just said, it's pick your poison. What toy you want to throw the ball to, because
And
there's weapons literally everywhere on this offense. And on top of that, they got an O-line that can finally block. And then on top of that too, guess what? Oh, if you think you got everything covered, okay, here goes Caleb Williams scrambling for 15 yards. So it's literally this is one of the best offenses we've seen as Bears fans in a while. And then on top of it, it's one of the best offenses in the NFL.
and on top of it, you know this more than I do. When's the last time Ben Johnson was able to pull out a bag of tricks play?
He hasn't done one in a while. I think the
Yeah.
last one he did was in that first Packers or the second Packers game when he wanted to snap the ball through Cole Kmet's legs to a 5'8" running back,
Yep.
and it went way over his head. And next thing you know, it was 4th and a goal, and we're turning the ball over on a play like that. So we'll get into that more of the game plan stuff. But on the Packer side, everyone's good to go. They have a couple. I'll just read off some of their bigger names. Zach Tom, one of their best guards. He's a huge part of their offensive line. He's a game time decision. He ultimately didn't practice Thursday, but did practice Tuesday and Wednesday. So it will be a little weird. If he doesn't play, that's massive. Javon Bullard, limited participant all week, one of their corners. He is questionable as well. And Malik Willis, I mean, if Jordan Love does go down, Malik Willis is also going to be a game time decision with that shoulder injury. So those are kind of the big names, but both teams are going to be pretty healthy for the most part. So should be in for a good matchup. The first matchup, Tremaine Edmonds wasn't playing, and the second matchup, Evan Williams, the Packer safety, wasn't playing. So there's a lot of people that didn't play in both matchups, and now this time it seems like it's the healthiest both teams have been, which is what we want. You want the best of both teams going out there taking each other head on, but it should be a good one. Let's just hop into some things, because like we talked about, both these matchups came down to literally the last play of the game, and it's both been between two different players. Keyshawn Nixon, the first game, gets the pick. The second game, Keyshawn Nixon gets, still great coverage, but ultimately gave up the game-winning touchdown. And if you want to even go before that, he gave up the touchdown to tie the game to go to overtime. He missed coverage, left a guy wide open. So Keyshawn Nixon's been talking a little bit to the media this week. He goes, I gamed them, they gamed me, and I'm going to game them in the third game. And, you got Jeff Hafley, their defensive coordinator, out there promising he's going to be back on the podium next week, playing next week in the next round of the playoffs. So, bunch of sides talking smack, being pretty confident. Ben Johnson, like you said, he said, get ready. We're going to be playing here for the next 5 weeks. And if you don't, pack your bags and leave. We don't want you here. So this matchup's going to be tense. We've seen it both times, very chippy. From start to finish, it is the longest, storied rival in the NFL, and probably the best rival in the NFL. It's must-see TV, but let's just talk about, the matchup and what the Bears need to do in this game. We had Jack on last time the Bears played the Packers, tried to get him on this week. He's ultimately feeling under the weather, so we hope he's doing good. So we'll just focus on the Bears in this show. But I just really wanted to touch on, we can trade points off, but I want to start with Ben Johnson. And really, I know you were talking about, well, let's see some of the cat out of the hat stuff. No, I'm against that. We've seen it we've seen it work out. We've seen it not work out.
You don't want to see a flea flicker?
I mean, the scenario also depends. Like, it can't be our first drive and we're doing a trick play on 4th and 1. That type of stuff, no.
What
that
if we're
could not
doing
happen.
a trick play on 1st and 10?
Well, it depends what the score is too. Like
0-0. I'm saying first play right out of the gate. Boom, flea flicker.
I like trick plays when you're up because they're expecting you to do the basic stuff, and then that's when you hit them with the trickery. In the beginning of the game, they know stuff is up. They're on their P's and Q's. The stuff when you can attack people with trick plays is when you're up. Hence, if you look at some of the trick plays that have worked with Ben Johnson, hence the one you're talking about, the flea flicker. The Bears were up 10-3 against the Cowboys, and then they did the trick play to Luther Burden. It's stuff like that. There's a time and a place for them when teams are really, like, especially too, like when you're up, a defense is really trying to get you off the field. They know, if we let them go up 2 possessions, it could get scary. So they're really flying forward and crashing downhill, and that's when you can get them with those bigger trick plays. But off the first drive, no. This Bears offense has been struggling halfway through the season. They started off amazingly, always scoring on their opening drive. And then the back half of the season, it's been a continuous struggle to get off to a hot start. And they need a march down the field. I don't care if it's running or passing, but they definitely need to have a run game installed in this, because we saw what the Baltimore Ravens did to the Green Bay Packers. If you start running down their throats and popping 5 to 6 yards, they get to a point where they do not want to tackle you anymore. And those 5 to 6 yard runs turn into 10 and 15 yard runs, and then they turn into touchdowns. So the run game needs to be installed early, but I also think he needs to call some passing plays early on to get Caleb Williams in a little bit of a rhythm, because it always either starts where, it just needs to be a healthier balance. Last week, he called 9 of the first 15 plays were run plays. And it was like the first 6 out of 8 were run plays. Like, it needs to be a good mix of both, good, healthy balance, and just march down the field. And that's just really my thing. The Bears offense and Ben Johnson need to get off to a hot start. I don't know if you want to chime in too. What are some things you want to see in this game? Maybe, like I said, stuff from the
I
previous
told you
2
what
matchups.
I want to see. I want to see the flea flicker right out the gate.
Dude,
I want to air it out. I want to be on the 25-yard line and we just jugular.
Bomb it. Yeah.
Daggers, daggers, daggers.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to the offense, I think we're going to see a whole nother level of Caleb Williams, which sounds crazy to see, but he knows this is win or go home. And he ultimately is so clutch in the fourth quarter because he starts playing hero ball. I think Caleb Williams start playing hero ball from the jump of this game. And that's why I do think this offense is going to get off to a hot start. And because that's when Caleb plays his best. When he's loose, when he's doing his thing, he's controlling everything. That is when this guy is dialed in. And he's done it plenty of times in the fourth quarter. We've seen it. It's like night and day from the start of the game. It's
I want to see in the first quarter.
Where has this been? And that's why I'm saying I feel like now that it's the playoffs, he knows it's win or go home. Every second, every minute, every yard, it all matters. And I think we're going to see Caleb Williams play that hero ball from start to finish. And that's what he needs. He is that player that he can play within rhythm. He can play out of rhythm. He can play on schedule. He can play off schedule. And he just needs to do that. He needs to continuously have this ball in his hands and do his thing. But I do want to talk too about this defense. They held the Packers last time in the red zone 0 for 5. Last week held the Lions 1-4, but the week prior, the San Francisco 49ers were 5 for 5. We're going to need to see that same defense step up. If you're going to get marched down the field, at least step up in the red zone. Jordan Love's back, but he also hasn't played a game in over a month. So this is why this Bears team needs to get off to a fast start. The players also rested. Some people can say that it's an advantage. You can also argue in the other direction that's a disadvantage because you took a week off and you might get out there for the first quarter and you're rubbing off some rust. But there's also that side of it that they're healthy, they're fresh, they had a week off. But you never know how it could affect the team. But that's why I think this Bears team needs to get off to a fast start, mostly because Jordan Love hasn't played in a month. And if you don't take advantage early, especially too, if their offense isn't clicking off the start and you can see Jordan Love missing some throws and not really the Jordan Love we've been seeing when we've played him in these past couple years, the Bears offense better be capitalizing. I do not want to see a punt on the first possession. I want to at least see 3 points, but we really realistically need to see 7. If this Bears team can play with a lead, they're hard to stop because they have that running game that is so successful. And we obviously haven't seen it in a couple weeks because we've been in some shootouts, and we've also been in games where, like last week, we were down 16-0, and you really can't. You can still run the ball, but not really as often because you're playing catch up.
I just think Austin Booker needs to make sure he says hi to Jordan Love again this week.
Yeah. And Jordan Love, if I got any advice for you, keep your head up, buddy. Don't be scared that you're about to get sacked. Don't duck that head if you want to finish the game because, I mean, these players are running at high speeds. As much as the Packers fans are calling Austin Booker's a dirty hit, I'm sure they just forget about Keyshawn Nixon ramming DJ Moore right in the back out of nowhere, blindsiding him. So I'm sure we'll see some of it too in this game, I'm sure, off the bat.
I think one of their players did say they were looking for some payback this week.
Yeah,
so I hope that O-line does a good job protecting Caleb.
Well, Josh Jacobs did say, he said, not that we're going to play dirty, but that hit they had on Jordan Love, we're coming for blood type stuff. So, they got to have their heads up, especially, I would say, too, these receivers, keep your head on a swivel, especially if, you see a run play and you're looking the other direction because these players, I'm sure it's a rivalry game. And I'm not just saying it's just the Packers. The Bears players will do it too, but keep your heads up, play smart. We don't need any dumb penalties like we did in that second game. I mean, from the first kickoff, we have a player jump on top of the pile and give 15 yards. Come on. We get it's a high stakes game, but let's just settle down a little bit. You can't come in too amped up. And Kevin Byard said it perfectly. He was on Bussin' with the Boys this week, talking a little bit about the Bears season, and then obviously the Packers rematch. And he said both times he felt the team come in a little too amped up. And he's like, we need to get to the edge of the cliff, but not go off of it. So, and I feel like that's a perfect analogy. Like you need to be hanging over that cliff where adrenaline's running, but you don't need to completely go too far and fall off the cliff. And the Bears players, both times they amp it up, and I get it. It's high stakes game, especially against your rivalry. But now it's not only your rivalry, it's a playoff game, win or go home. Bring the energy, but at the same time, control it. You can be excited, you can be amped up, but use it in the right way and play with your head, play smart, no stupid penalties. You know how the refs are. They're going to call stuff. Hopefully, the college football playoffs, in my opinion, has done a great job. I've been watching a bunch of the games, and they're letting these players play. I mean, obviously, if it's a blatant penalty, they're throwing it, but for the most part, they're letting them play, and I hope we get to see that from the NFL. These refs need to stop interfering in games, and unless it's something blatantly obvious, let them play. Like, come on, it's playoff football. The tensions are high. Don't insert yourself into a football game. It's not necessary, and these players are the ones that are putting on a show. You're not the show. You're just there, making sure the show goes as planned or, followed by the rules. You don't need to keep inserting yourself on stupid penalties that really let them play. But honestly, I'm just super excited to see this offense. I know Ben Johnson, he's cooking up a game plan. I talked about it last week on the post-game show when Ben Johnson, was asked at halftime what really wasn't working offensively and with the mistakes. And he said, it was a pretty vanilla game plan, the easiest game install they had this year. So I'm sure Ben Johnson had a bunch of stuff up his sleeve and kind of, in a way, looking ahead already. There was one of the games this year where they played an easy opponent. They ended up winning it. But after the game, Ben Johnson was already talking about the next opponent, saying, we were ready for this opponent coming up. So he's done it a couple times, and I think this is one of the games as well where he was ready looking ahead, game planning, kind of installing stuff for this week because this is ultimately the game that matters. And
you know what it is? It's another prime video football game.
Yep, and last time the Bears were on prime,
we played
against
the Eagles,
Philadelphia Eagles, and it was
the world was
the
watching.
Young generation likes to say, BTA. I won't finish those words out of it, but it was
Thank you.
BTA, and it would be awesome. I mean, if I'm at this game and this score is 24-7 and going into the fourth quarter, oh, I will be jumping for joy. Let's just say that. But I honestly think it is going to come down. It's both of these games already have come down to the wire. I think it's going to again. Both the Bears defense and the Packers defense are very vulnerable, especially with the Packers. As much as the fans try to play it off like their defense is fine, ever since Micah Parsons has left, their defense has ranked like 30th in almost every defensive category, which I'm not taking a shot at the Packers because the Bears defense is right around all those categories as well outside of takeaways, but it is going to just be which offense produces more and takes advantage of more opportunities. And this Bears defense does have to get off the field because in that first matchup, the second matchup, the Packers did what we wanted the Bears to do, which was pound the ball and control the time of possession. The Bears defense cannot let that happen again and keep getting marched down the field. We really need Kyler Gordon, which I do think he is like the X factor of this defense. It just sucks. We've only had him for 2 games this year. And Kyler, please just have a good warm up. I do not want to be at the game and see you with your helmet off. And next thing you know, you're not out there. So please just warm up good. And I did like to see it if you're into the Bears social media accounts. They post some videos of the players at practice this week. And I will say for Kyler Gordon, it was pretty smart. Everyone's pretty much in sweatshirts and sweatpants, doing their warm-ups. Kyler Gordon was out there with just long socks, short sleeves, feeling the cold like it is going to be on game day. And that's what it happens when you're dealing with those hamstring injuries too. You can bundle up and warm up and do stuff like that in practice, but that's not what it's going to feel like on game day. You're not going to be all warm and cozy. So that was good to see. And hopefully he just is ready to go. He's obviously not going to be 100%, but if we can get 80 to 85% Kyler Gordon, I think that can easily make a difference in this game. Especially too, Dennis Allen in preseason just talked about how this guy could do everything. And he was like their focal point of their defense and blitzing and doing all this exotic stuff. So hopefully, he's ready to go. And I know he will be. Talk about a player that brings energy. When he makes a big play, doing his backflips, doing his Spider-Man stuff, he's electric and we're going to need him. But I want to talk about Jordan Love a little bit too. I found it interesting just scrolling through Twitter, going over some stats or seeing some stats that other people have posted. Jordan Love in the postseason, as good as he is in the regular season, in these playoffs, he starts to throw these balls up. And I think this is why people call, like, although this year people have, said he'll throw those balls up and he throws some risky passes that lead to interceptions. Ultimately, this year he only has 6, but the first playoff game, or not his first playoff game, his second playoff game, not last year, but the year before, he threw 2 picks in that game to the, I think it was the 49ers. And then last year they played the Eagles. He had 3 interceptions in that game, which obviously the Eagles were the Super Bowl champions and they had an amazing defense. But in these playoff games, he tends to, I don't know if it's fold or the pressure gets to him, but he starts throwing some picks. And I feel like if this defense can at least come on somewhat stay white on rice with some of these receivers, I think they'll get some favorable balls. And on top of that, if this D-line can get any pressure, which we can't really rely on that because
Dennis Allen has got to have a plan for the slant.
Yeah. Well, that's why with Dennis Allen, the blitzing, it gets a little tricky because if you do blitz and they call up the perfect play like they did that one time, they're taking slant routes to the house, which just cannot happen. But I will say that is also the difference of having Kyler Gordon. As much as C.J. Gardner-Johnson has been a savior to this team while Kyler Gordon's been out, Kyler Gordon can run with those people. And Christian Watson still might have caught that ball, but he would get tackled because Kyler Gordon would be right there where C.J. Gardner-Johnson, we've saw the past couple weeks, kind of seems like the script's out on him, run some of those crossing routes on C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and he's been getting toasted over the middle the past couple weeks. Same kind of thing with Nashawn Wright. People are starting to run those in-breaking routes on him instead of go routes, and he's starting to get exposed a little bit too.
Any concerns with CJ GJ down that we didn't pick up Diggs?
No. And people that listen, Trayvon Diggs, yeah, he used to be a great corner. He hasn't had one pass deflection this whole season. He is not a good cornerback. He used to
Just
be.
I'm just asking the question.
I don't think so. I think they knew Kyler Gordon was coming back. Now, obviously, Kyler's got to stay healthy this game. If he goes down, it gets really tricky. Um, Nick McLeod would probably be the next guy in,
Mm,
but the good sign of that is Nick McLeod has been the one that has filled in multiple times when Tyreek has went down, Nashawn Wright has went down at times. Nick McLeod has played a lot this season when he's had to, but we don't want it to get to that point. Um, I think it will get really fun though when CJ gets back and if Kyler Gordon can stay healthy when they're both on the field because you can line them both up on opposite sides of the O line, send one, back up one. It gets really tricky. You never know what's going to happen. But nonetheless, we just need Kyler Gordon to stay healthy, which is asking for a lot, considering he's only played 2 games. And as soon as he usually steps on the field, he's usually this year at least he's been going down with these injuries.
yeah.
So
No, hope.
hopefully he's all right. Just play smart, play fast. It'll be fun. But other than that, I don't know if there's anything you want to touch on. I guess we could talk about this a little bit too. There's been reports out there that if the Bears do beat the Packers, there are a chance that Matt LaFleur gets fired and their GM. There's been reports about it because their new president that got signed over the summer, the Packers transferred over to a new president this summer, and he is opening press conference because Matt LaFleur and their GM, I don't know his name off the top of my head, but anyways, long story short, in his opening press conference, he said, I don't like coaches to be sitting, going into their last year of their contract. I don't like to let them sit there. So I would like to make a decision beforehand. Well, if you don't know, coming up next year, Matt LaFleur and the GM are on their last year of their contract. And he said, we'll look at extensions in the offseason to make sure these are the right guys. Well, there's also been word on the street now with the Packers losing their last 4 games. If they, I feel like it all matters the outcome of the game. If the Packers lose a nail biter, I think they're safe. If they get blown out or it's pretty ugly in the Bears' favor, I think there is going to be talk about it because there's already talk before it even happens. Now, I will say as a Bears fan, as much as I hate the Packers, if the Packers fire Matt LaFleur, they're an idiot because there was a thing on his record. He had, out of active coaches, he has the 4th best record out of the head coaches. So if the Packers really decide to fire him, they are retarded. It would be a dumb decision, but hey, I'm a Bears fan, and if the Packers organization wants to start falling apart a little bit, sign me up because I have too many Packers buddies that have been living on cloud 9 for the past 15 years, and they always rub it in my face. And honestly, I don't wish downfall on organizations, but to see the Packers go through a little bit of a pain or a rebuild or a little bit of struggle, it would be really cool to see because they would finally know what it feels like to not go to the playoffs every single year and just be blessed.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to use the word Stranger Things in their season, their final season, but I mean, the Ravens did fire John Harbaugh, so anything is possible.
I was about to say, like, it really is. That you see it with college football. The college football coaches, if you don't win, and I mean, if you
Lose your
don't,
money.
if you lose more than 2 games, I mean, these coaches are getting fired, and you're starting to see that with the NFL. Like you just talked about, John Harbaugh, he's been with the
Crazy.
Ravens for 18 years, and honestly has done nothing but winning. And one season, where Lamar's doesn't look like Lamar and he's hurt half the season, they fire him. And I get it. It's probably a change of scenery. It's either you get rid of Lamar or you get rid of John Harbaugh. So they probably went with the MVP, a quarterback that's in his prime. He's a 2-time MVP. And although he didn't look good this year, he's looked amazing in all his years prior. So they decide to pull the plug and part ways with him. And You've heard it with Mike Tomlin too, a guy that's never had a losing season. He also, there's a lot of pressure on him. And even if they win a playoff game, there's talks about him still getting fired because it's just been too long and long overdue. And eventually, paint runs dry. So you're starting to see it transition to the NFL where the stakes are high. And if you don't win, you're out of here. I mean, there's another story with the Buffalo Bills with Sean McDermott. There's word about him. If they lose to the Jaguars in the opening round, see you later. Like, it's getting to a cutthroat business, and it is crazy. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on these coaches. Luckily for the Bears, since we've usually been in the dumps for the past years, I think Ben Johnson's got a couple of seasons where he could have some bad seasons and he'll be all right. Because most of these teams we're talking about are pretty established organizations, at least in recent time. Like you're talking about the Packers, they've been relevant. They always make the playoffs or seem to be right there every year. The Ravens, always in the playoffs outside of this year. The Buffalo Bills, ever since they got Josh Allen, have been relevant. Mike Tomlin, like I just said, never had a losing season, and he's talking about getting fired. Like, he
was a field goal away from being fired.
Yeah. In reality, like, it is crazy to think about, but it's starting to get to a cutthroat business, and that is how the world works. It's kind of how people work too. If they don't see instant success, they think it's a failure and they want to move on. Sometimes you got to stick through it. You got to see the good and you got to see the bad. And eventually, you get a diamond. So it is nuts, but that's why, thankfully, the Bears have been in the position for that for the past 10 years to find the coach, find the QB, do this, do that. And now we finally seem like we have some sort of stability in our favor with Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson. So it's good to see, but let's just hop into it. I feel like we touched on a lot of stuff. Let's hop into our score predictions here, and let's also hop into our MVPs. I'll let you kick it off as always.
I'm scared.
It is
scared. 23-21, Bears win. It's going to be a nail biter. We will have to rely on the kicker, and it won't be a Cody Parkey at the end with a double doink.
Oh, God.
So that's why it's 23-21.
If it comes down to a field goal, I'm leaving the stadium.
It's coming down to it. I'm telling you right now.
Dad, if he hits that thing off the upright, what are you going to do?
I would say refer back to episode 4 when I said get rid of him. No, he won't be Cody Parkey. Santos has been pretty great after he got through the yips there, and he felt a little pressure, I think. But I think it's going to be 21-21. Bears get the ball back, and we have to drive to get to field goal range.
Well, that would make it 24-21.
Or you
said 23-20.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe 20-21, and then we got to kick a field goal. Yeah, I'm sticking with 23-21. Offensive player of the game, I got to go with DeAndre Swift. I think we learned our lesson watching that Ravens game where Derrick Henry throws up 200 yards rushing. So I'm going to go with Swift. It'll probably end up being a split MVP after the game between him and Monangai. And then defensively, I got to go back to Booker again. I wrote him last week, and he was pretty much the only defensive player anyone's name got called in last week's game. So I'm going to go with Booker again.
All right. And I'm going to go with my score prediction. I'm going Bears 31, Packers 24. I still think it's going to be a one-possession game. I just think the Bears are going to win this one. I think both defenses, as I stated, are pretty vulnerable. And the first time, you got to remember the second time when we played the Packers was also the first game without Micah Parsons that the Packers had to adjust to. So not as much film out there. Now there's about 4 games out there of the Packers defense without Micah Parsons. The Bears just had to be the first team to play him without it, and the new game plan without having Micah Parsons. So I think Ben Johnson's got enough film to craft up some points. My offensive MVP, I'm going with the kid, Caleb Williams. I think he's gonna, like I said, I think he's gonna play that hero ball from start to finish. He knows the stakes of this. Um, Although I will say it is okay for him to play hero ball from start to finish, but don't be over hero ball where you're forcing everything to try to make the big play. But I think he's built for these moments. Um, he loves it. Like we said, he's a sicko in the head. How he can silence stuff and literally just go out there and play with what would feel like to anybody else, like, a 2,000-pound person sitting on you and you're trying to roll out from underneath it. But he's been shining. So I'm going to go with Caleb Williams. And for my defense MVP, he's been getting picked on the past couple weeks and not been playing the best, but I'm going to go with the guy that leads the NFL in takeaways. I'm going with Nashawn Wright. I think
Ooh.
he is going to have a game. He's kind of, ever since, it's a little weird, ever since that Pro Bowl came out and he didn't make that team, he's kind of, I don't know if it's messed with his head a little bit or people are starting to figure him out, but he has been starting to get burnt over the middle. But I do think Nashawn Wright is going to have one of the takeaways in this game. So I will ride with Nashawn Wright, but that's mine. I'm going to go, like I said, 31-24 Bears victory. Stay tuned. I had a video when the Bears won in Cincinnati posted on our social media, get over like 20,000 views. I will have a bunch of video footage as long as my hands aren't have frostbite, but hopefully we'll have a bunch of cool videos to share out there of the stadium and the energy. But I
I'm
ultimately got
worried.
the Bears winning this one. But I agree with you, Dad. Maybe we can end the show on that, talking about the worry. You can feel it on social media, and I'm sure I'll feel it up until that first kickoff of the nervousness, because in reality, there's a couple different ways you can look at this. There's fans out there that if the Bears lose this game to the Packers, they would deem this season not successful. There's the other side of the fan base that the Bears already over exceeded expectations, like we talked about. They were at 7.5 games on the season. Was their team win total over or under? They were fourth place, best odds, last place in the division to finish in first place. Also, when they started off 0-2, they had a 1.8% chance to win the division. And here we are, and they're the 2 seed, won the division. And I'm kind of stuck in the middle because I do agree. If you lose to the Packers, it's going to be, it could literally, I feel like it really could offset everything that happened this season. But on the flip side of that, when you're looking at it, this is year one of Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. So that is my flip side of the future. Even if the Bears do lose this game, the future is so bright. It's the brightest it's ever been in a very long time. So that's where I stand with it. But I do also understand the fans saying, if you do lose to the Packers, it could, now you're spending all off season, just that's all you remember. You don't remember the great comebacks, the awesome season it was, because ultimately you lost to the Packers in the first round at your own, especially too with it being
home.
at Soldier Field. I will say this though too. I was gonna say something along the lines, if the Bears do win this game though, you could really put this Packers own you stuff to bed for a while, because this would make the Bears winning 3 out of the last 4 matchups that the Bears have done. And by the way, that would be the first time since 2006 if the Bears were to win 3 out of the 4 recent matchups. So it's been a while, and if they do win this one, especially with this what's at stake, if they can win this game, you can really put it to bed. And who knows, maybe Ben Johnson wasn't wrong when he said, I enjoyed beating Matt LaFleur 2 times a year. He said that statement to open his press conference with the Bears when he got introduced as the head coach. And a lot of people ran with the ammo, but, maybe he was right all along. If he wins this game, he wasn't lying. So, it'll be interesting, but there's a lot of stuff at stake, a lot of different ways it could go, and the outlooks that you can have on it. And I honestly understand both sides, to be honest.
Here's my fear, and you're not going to like this at all. You witnessed probably one of the best Bears victories that you could ever witness in person by going to that Cincinnati game. And you've doubled down. You're going to another game, an all-important game, an electrifying atmosphere. And I just hope you don't experience the most amazing win in a season and also the most
Heartbreaking.
catastrophic meltdowns,
That's why
losses.
it really depends how they lose. Now, listen, if Caleb goes down, drives, takes the lead, and then Jordan Love goes down and scores on our defense, I will not be upset because at the end of the day, we could all see it coming. This defense is banged up. They're not banged up. I'm sorry. They're just not reliable. Everyone in the secondary seems to be slow. Every receiver that they throw the ball to seems to have easy separation, easy pitch and catch for
Yep.
quarterback and receiver. So that's why I'm saying it really depends how they lose. If they
I
do
just hope
lose,
it's not that
if they
way.
get the dogs break the dogs break speed off of them, it will be embarrassing. And yeah, that would hurt too. Um, if it comes down to like it was in the first time in Green Bay, where, we're about to score and a pick happens, last play of the game type thing, I think I would still be pretty optimistic. It would suck initially, but my overall thoughts with the game would be, once again, we're right there.
Yeah.
It's very positive with year one with Ben Johnson, because in reality, there's a lot of people out there that are saying the pressure's on the Bears. Let's take a step back a little bit. Before this season started, people were calling the Packers Super Bowl favorites,
Yeah.
and they barely snuck into the
And they
playoffs
picked up
as
Micah
this.
Parsons
I was about
and
to say
traded the house.
they snuck into the playoffs as a 7th seed. And you can say, well, Micah got hurt. Well, even when Micah got hurt, guess what? You guys were still sitting at the 7th seed. It wasn't
Yep.
like you were all high and mighty first place in the division and that's why it went south. Yeah, Micah's a huge part of the reason it went south, but don't act like you guys were so far ahead and then the injury happened.
Yeah.
That's why I still don't understand how there's people. I get it from a seed perspective. We're the champions of the North, so technically we should win. But in reality, coming into this season, the Bears weren't even supposed to be in this spot. That's why I still feel like it is house money. And when you do look at the sports book, for some reason, the Packers are favorited. And it does make sense. Both matchups, the Packers led the whole game, and the Bears came back in both games pretty much. One obviously ended in interception. They didn't end up taking the lead. But in the other game, they did take the lead to go to overtime. So there's a lot of different stuff that goes with it. But at the same time, the pressure is not on the Bears. It is, but it isn't. Like, I feel like the pressure is pretty balanced. And honestly, like we talked about with Matt LaFleur and the GM, they lose this game. That's why I feel like there's so much at stake. And Matt LaFleur, you better not fold under pressure, because a lot of Packers fans, not even when we play the Bears, but just games this season, I've talked about, they say, why is Matt LaFleur coaching so scared? Like, when he knows there's pressure on, he does sometimes curl up, doesn't trust, plays a little bit of a conservative approach. And we know with Ben Johnson, you can't come in there playing conservative. It ain't gonna, Ben Johnson isn't gonna play conservative. We know that. There might be some 4th downs tomorrow that maybe the Bears don't convert, and it will be heartbreakers, but that's how Ben Johnson is. And we've come to realize that. I mean, we should all know that after watching the Lions the past 3 years. They're not going to shy away from, taking 4th. If it's 4th and 3, their Bears are probably going for it. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Obviously, the scenario matters too, but Ben Johnson's a pretty aggressive play caller. And I've heard at times all this year that Matt LaFleur, one, doesn't trust Jordan Love. You'll see him not call as many pass plays. He coaches very conservative. For example, that Dallas game where they tied, it seemed like they were easily going to win the game. Then all of a sudden he's not using timeouts and they have to kick a field goal to tie the game. And it didn't seem like he was going for the win. So there's a lot of stuff built up. So maybe the pressure might get to him with the articles out this week about LaFleur maybe being out and maybe he folds. But nonetheless, Matt LaFleur is a good coach. Like I said, he has the 4th best record out of current NFL coaches. So he knows how to win, and clearly he knows what he's doing because he's won playoff games. He's been in the, Jordan Love, as much as, he was a nobody before getting drafted, he's been made the playoffs all 3 years he's been a starter. So he knows what he's doing. He runs a good offense. The Bears just got to show up and be ready to play from start to finish. This is not a game where you can just show up in the fourth quarter and be like, oh, we're going to claw back into this. It's playoff football now. All these teams are a lot different, better coached, and you got to be ready to go.
Yeah. I mean, in the great words of Brent Musburger in The Water Boy, it's the final game of the season. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, you definitely got to be ready to play. And it's got to, like I said, it's got to be from that first whistle and it has to be to the last whistle. It'd be so nice if we could just bury them like what the Ravens did to them and just demoralize them, just pounding the ball. If the Bears can do that, it will be awesome.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I think that will do it for our pregame show. Definitely, I say this every episode. As always, like, comment, subscribe if you're new there. I think we're now 18 subscribers away from 100 subscribers on the season. And I also will say links down in the description for our social media. And you definitely want to be tuned in. Like I said, I will be at the game, going to a pretty big tailgate. Hopefully do some interviews with some Bears fans, get some thoughts, but get all that out there before Saturday's game during Saturday. So make sure you give us a follow, stay up to date with us. And if you are out there on Soldier Field and you watch our podcast, come find me. It'll be cool, but super excited for the game nonetheless. And unless there's anything you want to add, I'm just ready for this game to be here. I thought this week was going to drag by, but honestly, it's been going pretty fast. It's been flying by for me.
It has been a fast week.
But we will catch you on our post-game show, hopefully with the Bears victory and moving on to the divisional round. But that will do it for this episode. We will catch you on the post-game show. But until then, bear down.